Everything was looking so good for the New York Jets, and then it turned so bad so quickly for this team. Welcome in to the Flight Plan Podcast. Tim McMaster here along with Zack Rosenblatt. It is our 4 Downs episode where we talk about 4 key moments within a game. Although, Zack, I'm going to say these 4 down episodes, they're not really what we envisioned, because I don't know how much we care about specific moments within the games at 3 and 9, but
Yeah.
we'll still break things up a little bit. Also, it just seems weird that it's Aaron Rodgers' birthday today. Happy 41st birthday to Aaron Rodgers, as we found out this morning with Ulbrich speaking to the media that Aaron Rodgers will remain the starter for the New York Jets heading into next week. And that's first down, Zack. Let's start with that, unless you have something else that you want to talk about before we get into it. I think we just start with the news of the day, which is Aaron Rodgers will be back under center. Why not?
Yeah, the Jets missed the opportunity to have a real Jets moment by benching him on his birthday, because that would have been like right up their alley. I know there were some jokes on Jets Twitter because the Jets never wished Robert Saleh a happy birthday on his birthday last year. It also happened to be the day we dropped our story. That was an accident. And so there were people like curious if they were going to wish Aaron Rodgers a happy birthday, and they did a little bit before the press conference. So that was the first sign that he was probably going to be safe. But, it didn't come as a surprise, but Jeff Ulbrich kind of left the window open on Sunday when he said he's our starter for now. And Rodgers was terrible in that game. Like, he was not good. We're going to get into specifics in a little bit, but he hasn't been good all year. He's, I don't have it in front of me. I think he's since 2022, which was his last year with the Packers, he's 32nd of like 36 quarterbacks in EPA. And he's right behind Daniel Jones and right ahead of guys like Kenny Pickett and Bryce Young, like really guys that you don't want to be lumped in with. And more than anything, like, it's just kind of sad to see his career ending this way. And it kind of happens, especially for these aging veterans who come to the Jets. And he's not the first, and he won't be the last aging quarterback who stayed a little bit past his expiration date, probably. I think they're going to make the injuries have been a reason why he hasn't been the same, but you see this over and over. And it was my lead of my story. Like, the progress of an aging quarterback is always the same. The first sign is the physical part where they can't do as much. And then the mental part starts coming in where they're, not making the same decisions they used to. They're afraid to take hits, so they're getting rid of the ball quickly. And that's kind of what Aaron Rodgers has become. He just doesn't throw the ball downfield, and when he does, he's inaccurate. And, as for like the should they or should they not bench him, I think ultimately it doesn't matter that much. We were talking about it a little before the pod. I think some people have made this point. If they had like a rookie that you could say like, okay, let's see what this guy looks like. Like if Jordan Travis was healthy, even maybe you say, okay, let's hand the keys to this young guy. The season's over. See what we have. Give him some experience. But they don't. They have a 35-year-old Tyrod Taylor behind them. So I see the argument for keeping Aaron in, because like you might as well just close out the season and try and make something happen. But on the flip side, and I think to play devil's advocate, is I think Rodgers' teammates are frustrated by his performance. Garrett, again, I'm not going to step on her second down, but Garrett is not getting the ball when he's open. Tyler Conklin, I think, has a lot to be mad about, because he's just not getting the ball at all. And he was open a few times, and Aaron has just not been good, and the morale around the offense because of that is not very good. And I think Tyrod Taylor is very popular in that locker room. He's a guy that is not going to be afraid to take shots. Like, say what you want about him, but he's going to take shots down the field. He has a cannon for an arm. He has trouble staying healthy, but the goal is not ultimately to win these last 5 games. So
maybe to lose them.
Yeah, it might be to lose them. So who gives you a better shot at losing? I don't even know. But
who gives you the better shot at evaluating the rest of the roster?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Probably Rodgers ultimately for that. Because in theory, he's more accurate. He's going to get the ball to the guys. But I don't know. I go back and forth. I think ultimately Aaron might not want to close it out this way. And so we'll see what happens. He probably has some pride, and he wants to show that he still has something left. But, I don't know. There's not really an easy solution. No matter what, the season's over. It's all pointless. And right now, it's evaluation stage, and Aaron Rodgers is not going to be their starting quarterback next year. I think that's pretty obvious. And so Tyrod Taylor might be. He might have to be the bridge quarterback. So if you want to make an argument for him being the QB the rest of the games, it gives him 5 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is, with Garrett Wilson, with whoever's going to be Malachi Corley, with I'm trying to think who is going to be back next year. The offensive line, Brees Hall, like he gets some reps with these guys in theory. So that would be my argument for switching to Tyrod and for just a morale boost and get everybody back flowing in the same direction. But anyway, it's all ugly and it sucks. And I can't believe we're at a stage where we're having a legitimate conversation about benching Aaron Rodgers like that. I know it makes sense now, but if you had said that when they got him at any point last year, at any point this offseason, at like 2 months ago, like you would have been looked at like you're insane. Like there's no way they're going to bench him for Tyrod. But that's what the season has become. It just like the biggest disaster for a franchise that has had many disasters. This might be the worst one.
Comment in the chat. He's 14 touchdown passes behind Brett Favre. I mean, he's not going to get there this year based on the way he's playing. But you think that motivates him at all?
Maybe. I mean, I think he does care about stuff like that, even if he doesn't want to say he does. And he was asked last week, like, is there any part of him that's like, I don't want to go out this way? Like, will that factor into his decision? And he claims that no, that it won't. Like he's proud of everything he's accomplished and all that stuff. So I think the one thing that is always going to be a sticking point with him, and it will be now, and has probably bothered him, is that he only has one Super Bowl ring, and everybody's going to bring that up over and over again. And he's not going to get that this year. So I don't know where he's going to go next year that he could get it. But as you can tell, I'm sick and very stuffed up. So I apologize for my.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's he's not a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. So there's nowhere he could go to get it, because I think you could put him, I mean, Frank, you could put him on the Chiefs. You could put him, I don't know, maybe the Lions, but obviously they have all these teams have quarterbacks.
It would have to be.
I'm just trying to think of like a roster that's built to succeed with what Aaron Rodgers is right now, and
it would have to be a perfect setup with a perfect supporting cast, and maybe the Lions is that answer because they have great O-line,
like
two great.
Somehow Jared Goff gets injured, and you bring in Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't know.
How about that though? That would be funny. Lions after his career in Green Bay.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, that's a great point. That would be kind of like a Brett Favre thing to do, to go there. Minnesota, if they don't re-sign Darnold, who knows? But I mean, I don't know. It'd be so funny if he wound up in Minnesota. But
continuing to follow Favre. All right, second down, and we're sticking with Rodgers, and it is the swinging point of this game, right? The Jets getting all the breaks early on in this game, and then in two back-to-back plays, it kind of all turned. First, you kind of hinted at it, the Garrett Wilson play. What a move by Garrett Wilson. Like, what a move to get so open, and then Rodgers, I mean, just get the ball in the general area. And it was almost like he tried to be perfect. Like he didn't realize how open he was. I don't know what he obviously, after the game, he blamed it on the wind and all of that. But like,
he's going full Zach Wilson. He's going full Zach Wilson now.
Watching the play, what was going through my mind was, he tried to be too perfect. And all he had to do was just throw it in the area. And then the very next play, the pick six to Leonard Williams, the longest pick six in NFL history by a defensive lineman, I believe I saw. And not only that, but a former Jets first round pick who then threw shade on Rodgers after the game. I mean, you take those two plays out, or you take that first play and it becomes a Garrett Wilson touchdown, and who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it would have been 28-7. Like that's
they still might have lost it. Don't
I mean, they're the Jets, but that's like the Jets season in a nutshell. It's just moments like that all season. And maybe I'll go through and compile all of them, because it's crazy how many close games they've had. There's been 5 games where Aaron Rodgers had the ball late in the fourth quarter with a chance to like take the lead or win, and they lost all 5. Like, games are not necessarily only won and lost in the fourth quarter. It's the totality of the game, and the Jets make mistakes left and right constantly. But like up to that point, they were firing on all cylinders. All 3 units were playing well. Special teams forced a turnover, and they had a return touchdown, I think, to that point. Yeah, they had the 99-yard return touchdown from Kenny Ngwangu, who has been on the practice squad all year, by the way. I don't know why they didn't use him before this. They were too stuck on Xavier Gibson. The defense was playing pretty well, and the offense was moving. They had 2 scoring drives, and they get all the way to the red zone, off of forced fumble on a kickoff. They get to the 9-yard line, and those 2 things happen. And Leonard Williams' quote that you alluded to, he basically was like, he's old, and you could tell that when there's pressure coming at him, he's scared and he's going to get duck and run, and so that's why Leonard knew that he could probably get him there, because he knew that the defensive line was going to get to him. Leonard dropped in the coverage. It was a clever play design to get your defensive tackle to drop. And then Leonard picked it off, and he moved too. He moved pretty good. There was, because of where it was, there was no Jets in the vicinity either, but it's quintessential Jets to have Leonard Williams be the one to do that. And Jason Myers hits a 53-yard field goal, and Geno Smith wins the game for the Seahawks. Just classic Jet stuff. But
the other element of the interception that I was thinking about, I don't know what your thoughts are on this. He missed Garrett, and he was visibly angry at himself, right? He held his helmet. You could see Aaron Rodgers was not happy. Knew exactly what he missed. And then I think he had it in his, I could be wrong. Obviously, we don't have insight into Aaron Rodgers' mind, but the next play, I think he was forcing it to Garrett on the slant.
Yeah, he definitely was forcing it.
Yeah, but he was like, I miss Garrett. I've missed him a lot this year in his head.
Yeah,
I'm going to get it to Garrett on this next play. And you wonder if, I don't know if Leonard Williams was thinking that too, if the defense had that in their mind, but yeah.
Not only that, but the first pass of the game from Rodgers was a deep ball where Garrett got behind the corner and Aaron underthrew him. And even if you don't throw it that way, Tyler Conklin's open in the middle of the field, but you throw that down to Garrett, that's a 70-yard touchdown. Who's going to score there? But Rodgers underthrew him again. And I think I had it in my story. I don't have the number off the top of my head. I think he's something 5 of 20 on passes traveling in the air 10 or more yards in the last 3 games. Yeah, I mean, he's holding the offense back ultimately. They have the talent. Everybody on offense that you need is healthy, including Aaron. He was a full participant all week, not on the injury report. Everybody said he's as healthy as he's been. He was moving around a little bit.
He was. Yeah, he looked healthier moving around the pocket again. And he threw that block.
Yeah, he did. I kind of forgot about that because so much happened after the fact. But yeah, he did on that run. But yeah, it's just. And then after the game, he has this quote that's kind of blown up a little bit, where he was asked about why his stats are so down when he's feeling as healthy as he is. And he's like, well, there's 11 people on the field, and sometimes I'm the reason why it didn't go right. But basically, yes, sometimes I'm the reason, but all the other times it's everybody else's fault. So
this is the NFL,
pretty quintessential
where you're the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
The ball is in your hands on every play.
Yeah, that's where we've gotten, and it's not going to get any better. I can't imagine what he's going to say on McAfee tomorrow or with us on Wednesday, but
well, McAfee's not going to exactly grill him, right? That's
that's true. I don't know. It's just 5 more weeks of this crap. It sucks, but we grind through it, and we hope to pull out some positives, which we're going to get to by the end of this pod.
So just to throw in, Taylor Delgado just threw in big bummer of a sports weekend all around. I will say,
U of A. Yeah, I know.
Not so fast, Taylor. Syracuse, huge win over Miami. Maybe knocking Miami out of the playoffs, returning to the top 25 where they rightfully belong. It was not a loss.
Arizona Wildcats are a freaking disaster.
Yeah, that's true.
Former Syracuse coach, Dino Babers, their OC, probably on the way out.
After 1 year.
Just absolutely embarrassing. I couldn't even watch it this year.
Well, the fact that Syracuse is I shouldn't say. I was going to say they went 9-3 with Babers players, but that's not true. The amount of portal help.
Yeah, I know it's not the same anymore. Yeah,
that they brought in helped them get there. But yeah. All right, 3rd down. This is kind of big picture as well, but it was amazing how much went right for this team. I said it off the top, but you get a kickoff return for touchdown. you get 2 fumbles on kickoff returns. When does that ever happen? If you put those 3 things into a
formula,
into a computer, right? Like team gets kickoff return for touchdown and recovers 2 lost fumbles from the other team on kickoffs. Like, what do you think the winning percentage is for teams that have had that happen, right? Like
Sauce Gardner basically said that.
95%?
Sauce Gardner basically
Yeah.
said that. He's like, if you do the analytics, I can't imagine many teams have lost when those things happen. And not only that, but they also blocked an extra point. And so, like, in the moment, I'm like, dude, the Seahawks have the worst special teams unit of all time. Like, it was, and not only that, they gave up the kick return touchdown. Xavier Gibson had like a 40-yard return. Like, it was just absolutely disastrous. But yeah, keep going on your point.
No, that was just the point. Was like, you can't. How do you lose that game? Like, how can you get all those? Yeah, all those things happen, and you still manage to lose it. And you mentioned Sauce said like he couldn't. He was actually thinking that in his mind, like, how do we lose this game? So that brings me to this, like the state, and you said it a little bit as far as like the team loves Tyrod Taylor, and there's a lack of confidence, but overall, how does this locker room survive the next 5 weeks when something like that just happened? Like, how do you go into a game thinking like, oh, we're gonna win this one after like that one just happened?
I mean, that's happened every week. So
Yeah,
I don't know that the team, I don't know how much they care about the wins or losses going forward at this point. I think at this point they're playing for pride. It's the whole cliche of you're playing for the 31 other teams in the NFL. You're playing to put stuff on tape.
yeah,
Jeff
that's the big
is coaching to prove that he deserves to be a coach. These position coaches are coaching for their jobs. They're all going to be unemployed at the end of the season in theory. Maybe some will stay, but so now everybody's kind of playing and coaching for their future and not as much for now. Like the Jets have already turned the calendar to 2025. I'm curious if they start playing young guys more. They kind of did a little yesterday. Isaiah Davis played a little bit on offense. He hadn't really done that.
touchdown.
He had a touchdown. It was a really clever play designed by Todd Downing. The returner is an intriguing guy. Quentin Stigers played a little bit. He got a bad penalty. I just think it's time. And, this is like the weird thing where Ulbrich probably knows he's not going to be the head coach, or I don't know, maybe in his head he thinks he still can. So, like, why would he play all the young guys when he wants to win to help himself still? So, I don't know. It's the rest of the season is evaluation. That's all it is. And, I did my stay or go story last week. We planned on doing a stay or go podcast, but the Joe Douglas firing threw that off. Maybe we'll do that later in the week with Will. But just like looking ahead, like who comes back, who do they let go? They have a lot of guys hitting free agency, a lot of guys due for new contracts, a lot of guys that could be cap casualties. This is the prove it stage. Like prove it for the next coach, for the next GM, or prove it for the 31 other coaches and 31 other GMs. And no, that's what they have to play for at this point. They're not making the playoffs. I know they're mathematically not eliminated, but they have less than 1% chance. Even if they won out, they'd have a losing record. They have a losing record for the 9th straight season. They've clinched that. It's one of the longest streaks in NFL history. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think this loss will affect them because they've already been affected. Like it doesn't. Nothing matters anymore. Like you just hope they play for their pride at this point.
All right, 4th down. This has become a thing the last like month where 4th down just becomes like something positive we can pull from this game. So we're doing that again. The defense tackling was much better. That was a big criticism, obviously, over the last couple of losses. They tackled well. The goal line stand also stood out to me. Like, and if you take the pick 6 away, like the defense overall played a pretty good game.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I think the pass rush. Will McDonald had a very good game. I would say, like he'd been kind of MIA for a little bit. But I think he had like 6 pressures, 2 sacks. He's at 10 sacks for the season now. And, Hassan Reddick has not stood out in any way. Quentin Williams is very good again. I think Jamie Sherwood showed some flashes. Sauce Gardner had a really, really good game. He shut down DK when he was on him. They got called.
Which is a good one for Sauce because DK is just such a
freak.
beast.
Yeah, he's a freak.
That it's not a great matchup for Sauce.
It's Sauce kind of needed that because of all the noise around him, I think. And he had great perspective, honestly. He's like coming out of the bye, like, I realized that I need to be more I need to be someone who's a positive force in this locker room and not somebody who's letting all the negativity affect me, because I was letting it affect me. And even just like the way he was lashing out on social media, like he, for as much crap as he gets, and I know he goes on social media too much or whatever, I do think he's very mature, and I think the Jets are lucky to have him in their locker room, frankly. But yeah, he had a good game. They had some really bad penalties, especially in the fourth quarter. I think there were 5 penalties on defense, and they all came on fourth or third down. But we're being positive right now, so I'll get off that. But Olu Fashanu is another one who I wanted to highlight. You brought it up. We've talked about it before the pod. Tyron Smith is on IR. He's done. He's not playing for the Jets again. Career maybe over. That didn't work out, but if all you get out of that was that he tutored Olu Fashanu for a season, then that's a win. And Olu's gonna get 5 more games to be the starter. He's already started 2 now at left tackle. He looked really, really good. I think 42 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed. That's pretty good, especially against the Seahawks defense that has Leonard Williams, that has some talented guys, and has been pretty good at getting to the quarterback. So Olu, if he could be like a cornerstone, like that is fantastic. Because then whether or not Morgan Moses returns, you have 4 out of 5 offensive linemen that you feel good about going in the next year. We've talked about that a bit, but Olu's the X factor ultimately. And if you have a really good left tackle, like I said, I think this job looks a little more appealing than people realize because their offensive line is pretty good. And Olu is the center of that. Like, I think Joe Tippmann's fine. I think John Simpson's good. I think AVT is good. I think Morgan Moses, when healthy, is good. But Olu is the one that could be like a Pro Bowl caliber guy, I think. So, yeah, I know there's been a lot of noise lately because Brock Bowers has just been like going crazy. He's going to like set records for rookie tight ends, and he's just been like the weapon that everybody hyped up. And so I think there's been a faction of Jets Twitter that's kind of been like, we should have drafted him. I still think Olu was ultimately the right move, or you can't blame them for it, at least. If Brock Bowers is a star, then that's going to hang over you for a while. But if Olu is at the very least like a 10-year starter, like, you take that, especially because the Jets have not had good offensive linemen, and he looks good.
I think there's more value there, right? If you have a 10-year starter at left tackle,
especially
I'll take that over.
Financially, you get an offensive tackle for 5 years on a rookie contract. So I think you can't criticize Joe Douglas for that pick. He finally picked an offensive lineman that was really good.
Yeah, on his way out. That's which we said a lot. He finally built the offensive line.
Yeah.
He had been promising for 6 years. All right. Anything else you want to tease what we have coming up later in the week? This is a short one, but that's what these 4 downs were supposed to be. They've been long lately because there's just been so much.
Yeah. Yeah, at some point, I don't know if I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to do like a GM list of candidates. And so we could go through that and run through like who we like and who we don't like, what fans want. I want to do the stay or go pod, whether that's this week or next week. Maybe we'll get Will on. And yeah, just work on a few things. Hopefully it's just a normal week around Jets land. It never is, but hopefully it is. And we'll get back to you later in the week.
Well, I think the potential drama was taken care of today with the announcement that Rodgers is going to keep starting. So that's good. But yeah, we will be back later in the week, probably on Wednesday, maybe Thursday morning. We'll figure that out. But we will talk to everybody soon. Thanks for tuning in. As always, to the 4 Downs edition of the Flight Plan Podcast. We'll talk to everybody soon.